but it may be a while off before anyone gets a pay rise.
Yeah, he put it in the middle of the decade, Pete, and he's basically implying also unemployment has to be under 5% as well. And given what he said to the Parliamentary Committee, Westpac's chief economist, Bill Evans, was reported in The Australian this morning saying, well, if the Reserve Bank governor's predictions are right, then interest rates will probably not rise until after 2024, which is quite extraordinary when you consider what's going on with housing clearance rates at the moment. I think, Sydney was up near 89% over the weekend. Canberra was nearly 92%. This is extraordinary. In April of last year, it was 36%, one of the lowest ever. So that turnaround is extraordinary. But according to the Reserve Bank governor, we're going to need a lot more time to get the economy to come back to normal. I think he's going to be wrong, Pete. I really think we're going to go faster than he expects. At the end of the day, we might say he's a bad predictor, but if the economy is doing well, they say he's a good economic manager.
Well, is it just a conservative estimate? Is he being more conservative with his estimates here?
Yeah, I think he really wants to keep the pressure on the government not to pull away from fiscal stimulation anytime soon. I think the combined impact of really low interest rates and what Treasurer Frydenberg's been doing so far explains why the economy is doing really well. But he might be afraid that if we pull back too quickly, we might actually go backwards. I think we're going to see a massive boom across 2022, 23, and those predictions will be excessively negative, I think.
Positivity is your middle name, Peter Switzer. Now, what about CBA? Talking about positivity, it's handy being an investor with CBA at the moment.
Well, you and I have talked about this, Pete, a few months ago, and when it got down to under $60, I just said, well, this is one of the best banks in the world. Even if you want to wait a year or two, you're going to see it around the $90 or so. Well, it's $88 since October. It was $60 around October. Now it's $88. This is all related to the brilliant comeback of the Aussie economy, because the CBA is the biggest bank, therefore it's the greatest beneficiary. I think we're going to hear on Wednesday that the profit's going to be about $3.6 billion or thereabouts. Bad debts will be lower than expected, and I think shareholders are going to be really happy to hear that the dividend's going to be a lot higher than was tipped this time last year.
Yeah. Do you think all the other banks will have to follow on that front, Pete?
I think everyone's share price will benefit from it, not to the same extent, because the CBA is in a much better position than the other banks. But there's always a halo effect. If the biggest and the best goes up, the others get some benefit from it as well.
But what about dividends? Do you think they'll have to jack theirs up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They'll follow. They won't follow to the same extent, I think, because their profit improvement won't be as good, but they definitely will increase their dividend, which is going to be great for those shareholders out there who, particularly retirees, who live off dividends.
For sure. Okay. And what about the local stock market? Expected to rise again today?
Well, it should, Pete. The Dow record close, S&P 500 record close, NASDAQ up 6% record close. I think it's going to have a very big impact. You'll see our tech stocks, they'll benefit from this. Tech stocks are driving the stock market higher. It should be a really good day at the office for people playing stocks.
Yeah, there's an interesting story in the AFR today talking about Zip and how it's moving to the American markets to try and explore some of the avenues that Afterpay has been exploring, Pete. So potentially it might be a good option going forward. I know that you've spoken about this on your website. Yeah.
Zip is clearly not performing as well as Afterpay. Very few stocks are. But I think they're a really good second player in the market, and they don't sort of lay down and say, they're going after the US market. They picked up an acquisition there. I think it's called QuadPay.
That's right. Yeah.
Which has done really well. I just think it's a really good second company. So if we say CBA is a great bank, you can turn around and say, well, these are good bankers. Well, not quite as good, but they still do well. And I think Zip's going to be a really good player. And the news out today will really help the shareholders who are into Zip, like yours truly.
Okay, good one. All right, Peter Switzer, follow the money, eh?